Hey LYRAN Starseeds, welcome to Starseed Energetics. This is going to be your reading for March 2018, or whenever you're watching this, it's synchronized for that time. Okay, let's get into it. Incredible spread. There's so much wisdom coming out of this spread that I'm really glad about it. Let me get the oracle cards and then I'll start flipping. Well, what I have, so that you just have an idea of what's going on. What I do is I put down the cards and I'll flip it as I go, but sometimes they flip out on their own accord. So what I have is the view of all of this, and I haven't flipped all of it yet, but we'll see. But I'm prompted to get the oracle cards and start with that. Wow. So what you have here from your oracle deck, so let me tell you, this oracle cards, I think it's like 78 cards. There's 4 fairy cards, and out of the 3 cards that I pulled, you have 3 fairy cards out of all of that, like 3 elements out of the 4 elements. You have the fire fairy, earth fairy, and wind fairy. There's a really strong message coming here that you're a paradox. Like, as a human being, you're a paradox. A paradoxical experience is what we have until we decide to experiment with other kind of subjectivity of experience. You're paradoxical. Like, you're both light and dark. You're both hot and cold. Like, you're a paradox. And what they're asking you to do is channel that paradoxical existence and use that as your advantage. Here you have creative action, which is the fire fairy, and then it's followed by the earth fairy, which is the physical health, grounding, and foundations. So, and then you have the wind fairy, which is the thoughts, words, and intellectual analysis, right? It's asking you to take that aspect of yourself that is so creative and so etheric and so kind of out there in your imagination. You know, I'm sure you are one of those people who are very imaginative, and any starseed is, because they come from a higher realm where your nature is very etheric, and then you come to the physical earth and you kind of wonder, why is that my manifestation kind of intuition isn't working here in this 3rd density. It doesn't work as easily as you were used to. So it could have been a challenge until now, but it's asking you to ground that kind of etheric hyper reality into the earth and see the benefits of actually having a realistic perspective, as in integrating the polarity of this optimistic idealism that you have with this grounded approach of being aware of how things are already and seeing the obstacles as a creative challenge for you to come up with something even better than the ideal that you imagine. Be realistic, which is a very stable kind of integration of experiencing density, but at the same time paradoxically being the infinite source. Okay, now I flipped all of the cards now and I understand. At the bottom of your deck is a tower, and this shouldn't be a surprise to you. This should probably be like a confirmation of what you're going through. You're having a tower experience where your entire world as you knew it is crumbling apart in a good way. Like, you are living the authenticity of who you are and you're letting everything else just kind of crumble apart. And there's a new beginning to this brand new world, right? You have the Fool and the World side by side on the top row, but then you have the 7 of Pentacles next to it. And this is signifying that this change is drastic and you feel the frequency of this drastic change, but it's not unfolding as fast as you feel. It's not unfolding as fast as you're energetically sensing. So that's where this kind of approach comes in, where you balance the part of yourself that is so sensitive, hypersensitive to the energies, and realize that the grounded energies are a bit more dense. So learn to kind of appreciate this dense movement, because there will be a time where the veil thins and you won't be able to experience this strange density, this strange paradox of having patience, because patience is a very strange virtue that you can have. gathered from the third density of your experience, right? Now, they're also telling me that all you need to do actually is to cultivate the perspective of willing to ground and willing to experience however long it takes. And that's all it really takes, is that willingness for you to compromise, sometimes away from the etheric realm, and to tap into the collective reality where maybe not as many people are progressing as fast as you vibrate. But there's a beauty in that. They're asking me to say that because that's also a part of you that you're learning to extend your sense of self into. You don't necessarily feel that everybody else is a piece of you experientially, but you're learning the beauty of allowing that to be a part of you. Now, as soon as you do that, I think that everything's going to unfold much more faster, because this is a beginning energy, and this is how it starts off. The month starts off with this energy of, ugh, why isn't it going faster? But it's telling me as soon as you have that willingness to accept it, then it starts getting fresh start into this new world, and it's not something that's going, the time is not of the essence. Now, one thing they're asking me to really do is, when you're making decisions throughout this month, discern your decisions based on is my desire to make this decision coming from my heart? Like, is it aligned to the divine heart and the divine will, or the essence of who I am? Or is it coming from a conditional social structure of a desire, like this egoic personal reality desire? That's one level that I'm seeing here with these cards. And then the next layer that I see here is to discern between intuition and emotion. Intuition and emotion can be very much mistaken for each other, because it's a very fine, refined kind of sensitivity that you need to cultivate to discern between emotion and intuition, but they're very different. And sometimes you could be mistaking your wounded emotion from the past, or your wounded inner child's emotional attachment, into an intuition, because you can't really finally discern between the two. But it's time for you to really cultivate that awareness between emotion and intuition. Intuition is aligned to the divine will, and emotion is not necessarily like that. Emotion is more of like a means, and the intuition is more aligned to the end goal. And now out of this comes the Ace of Pentacles, that's right underneath the World. So yeah, it is coming to fruition, but it's just your willingness to ground and kind of be mindful to the collective pool of realities. You know, just because it's less dense than your own personal reality doesn't mean that it is a hindrance to your existence. It's actually a beneficial thing for you to experience. There's a beauty in this kind of density. And the star comes up. So this is the divine will that we've been talking about, and it's the divine unfoldment of this new world, this new realm. But it also tells me, it reminds you to never forget this patience that you cultivated throughout this journey, and that it has a reason why it's taking so slow. There's a divine unfolding of something that is very, very precise to this mathematical kind of balance and harmony that you would never have achieved on your own than how the universe planned it. It's very, very detailed, and it's going to unfold in a way that you couldn't have possibly imagined on your own. So you kind of need this trust when you step into this new ground, to know that yes, you have this power of discernment, you've cultivated this faith, and you've cultivated this kind of patience, but be mindful of your environment as an intelligent unit. Your environment and the universal flow is this collective intelligent unit of life that you should never, ever, ever be arrogant enough to think that you must overpower it. You need to just really respect its intelligence. So I have LYRAN, Anunnaki, and I think that's it. I did Andromeda. So out of this angelic realm oracle that I have here, first card you get is Nathaniel Fire, and this is so similar to this creative action that you have, right? And I forgot to mention, because you have 3 fairy cards, it's very important for you to go out into nature and connect with the elementals, the nature spirits, and that's going to help you ground, obviously. But see how you have 3 fairy cards? It's very essential for you to connect with nature. In any case, here's that fire aspect of you that is so creative, but that creative energy is up there. That creative energy is up there, and you have this realization of this whole new dimension, but it's time for you to figure out how to ground that into this physical reality. Because right now it's segregated like oil and water. You need to figure out how to really ground that into this realm. And part of that, the biggest part of that, taking that step forward, is to cultivate courage, to know that you are, on one hand, this fragile experience of being a single unit out of the collective, you know? So it's not like you have this absolute control over every other flow of the intelligent unit of life. But you need to have courage that on the other paradoxical aspect of you is a pure emanation of source energy. So when you can really learn to temper those 2 polarities and embrace that paradoxical existence as you live, it's going to bring you a tremendous inner peace, which is obviously going to manifest in this way of being that is so... I can't help but notice this parallel between this world and the peace card. I know it's not an immediate resonance to how it is, but they vibe the same, if you know what I mean. So this is the piece of living that you're going to experience in this next phase. And I know this next phase has been so long in the making of it, and it just keeps getting more and more profound. This birth is coming in layers. So even if you heard me from months ago saying you have this new dimension opening, you have this new world that you're stepping into, it's never been false. It's always been true. There's always been levels of new realities happening, and now it's getting even more tangible. So that's one thing I want to mention, and I want to thank you very much for tuning into this video. I hope you have an incredible month, and thank you for your love and support. I will see you soon.